Well, here we are, folks. It's cold and windy day. We have wind coming from northeast here, so it's going to be tough. But we did our initial sighting, developed some ballistic charts, and we're going to test clean cold bore shot. We're going to let the barrel cool down. Then we're going to do 3 shots with a dirty cold bore at 300 yards. So that's going to be my primary main effective range. Let's see how we deal with the first initial one. It's cold, it's 18 degrees and the wind is blowing, but I couldn't miss this opportunity. We just had snow this morning. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, but it's cold. So we're going to try to work fast and get some reliable data, do some groups. 180 Noslers, freshly made. Let's get to it. Alright folks, as you saw, we did a clean cold bore shot. Just one shot to see what it does. Elevation, there was almost no difference. Maybe it impacted ½ inch low, if that, at 300 yards. However, the wind pushed it about 2 MOA. We also fired three round group at the same distance with the dirty cold bore. Again, did not hold for wind just to see what it's going to do, and it did push about 2 MOA, just as the app said. So we shot third group with holding using my reticle, which was very, very helpful, holding for that wind for 2 MOA. It has a dot right to the side of it. I believe we're going to go check it out, but the impact was pretty spot on. And I think the group was much better because I was taking my time. Now we're going to take shots at 400 yards, and I am going to hold for the wind. As you can probably hear, the wind keeps changing from shot to shot. So as long as my elevation's good, we'll see what the windage does, but the wind keeps just shifting left and right. Well, as you saw, those are actually pretty darn good shots. I held a whole values for wind and elevation, even though the app called for 8.2 elevation at 400 and 3.4 of wind. But I held the whole values of 8 and 3 just so I can be 100% sure that I'm as consistent as possible. But I'll take that into consideration when shooting in the field. Looking at that, that was pretty darn good with these wind conditions, temperature and everything else. So this is pretty darn good. All of those would be within the kill zone. Elk, no doubt in my mind. I mean, even when it was 0.4 inches, looking at the target of an elk, put a spot on 4 inches is very good. So I would feel comfortable shooting even in these, and I would call these the worst possible conditions you can have. 10, 15, 20 mile an hour, it keeps changing. You can probably hear it on camera. So I'm going to try at 540 yards. This camera that's recording obviously cannot distinguish, plus everything's in the shade, which I should have probably moved my targets out to the sun, but I'm trying to get some good distances, and that's where the targets are. So I'm not going to record those. I have pictures of the targets, and I'll go see if I can actually hit it in these conditions and see what kind of deviations I have. I'll follow my Strelok Pro app. Let's see what happens, man. I think this is good. I'm freezing cold, but this is so much fun. Stay tuned. And we're back at home, folks. It was quite a day of shooting, I gotta tell you. It was a lot of fun, but it was very challenging. Like I said earlier in the video, I intentionally chose those weather conditions as what I would call most extreme weather conditions that I could find. here in Iowa. So we had really low temperature. We had wind between 10, 15, 20, 25 mile an hour gusts. It was constantly changing, so it was very challenging. I got very positive results from 100 to 400 yards. And then we shot those groups at 545 yards. Now, I was using the app and I was trying to gauge the wind. It was very difficult. As you'll see here on the first shot here, I was aiming at the orange dot, so at the orange center, and I was holding 4 MOA of wind because I was guessing 10 to 15 mile an hour wind. So I was holding 4 on the dot, and then I fired a 3-shot group, and it was pushed another 2 MOA to the left, as you can see. So wind is coming from the right. I'm holding 4 MOA, fired a group, we pushed an additional 2 MOA. So this told me that it's very, very difficult to gauge wind that far out. So I wanted to do one more test, and I added just a little more wind. So I added 5 of wind, and as you can see on the next shot, probably up here in the corner, it did a lot what I call lateral stringing. You can see that the wind was not consistent as you would expect. I would like to point out that I'm very, very happy with the groups I got that far out with those conditions. As you saw, first group was well, like just over 3 inches, I believe, at 550. That's pretty darn good. That's pretty darn good. Way under a minute of angle. And then on the second group that I did, because of that lateral stringing, the vertical spread was like 2 inches. And if the wind was just a little more consistent, I think I would have had an even better group. Very happy with the accuracy, with the consistency. Overall, very productive test. I liked it. I like everything about this new PST Gen 2 scope. The one thing I did not like, and I'm probably going to have to adjust my approach in the field, is how I utilize my reticle versus my turrets. Because the windage markings down the reticle only come every, I believe, 4 MOA. So 12 to 16. So I had my hold was 14 3/4 of MOA at 545, and then it called for 4 MOA of wind. So if you look at the target picture, I'm actually going to probably just put that right up there so you can see where I was supposed to hold, which would be kind of difficult. So what I decided on the second shot of those groups that far out, I used my turret to get my elevation, and then just use the reticle to get the wind. Because when you use a turret, you're aiming at your crosshairs, the center of your crosshairs. So I dialed up my elevation, center of crosshairs, plus all the markings, and it was much easier to dial in and calculate all of that. So that's pretty much it. That's my load workout for a 180 grain Nosler Accubond. It seems that this gun likes it, even though it's 1 in 12 twist, and I know what the traditional wisdom is about using heavier, lighter bullets and twist and all that. I respect all of that, but I like to do my own testing and see what my gun likes, and those are more than acceptable results. Earlier, when I was earlier in the year, in much better conditions, I was getting first shot impact at 770 yards with those heavier rounds. When I use 168s, they're just as good. So I've done a lot of work in the last 3 years working up those loads. To me, this is more than acceptable. I'm more than happy, and I will be using this in the future. So thanks for watching, and tune in to our next video. We're going to do some more load development for this super awesome Remington 700. Thank you again.